Okay, yeah. All right, thanks everyone for joining us today. We are on the 3rd of July, the middle of the year, and we are happy to have the Odyssey Korea team with us today. They'll be sharing with us more about the integration of the local Korean vocabulary into the OMOP CDM. So we have the team here to actually share with us more. So over to Yijoo to get us through the sharing. Thanks.
Okay, I will share my screen. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. So, hi everyone, glad to meet you. I'm Yijoo Park and I'm a master's student at Yonsei University in South Korea. And I'm working under Professor Chan. And I'll be presenting our work on integration local vocabulary into OMOP CDM, specifically focusing on Korean EDI vocabulary. So in this presentation, I will walk you through a step-by-step tutorial on how to integrate local vocabulary into the OMOP CDM. So yeah, hope you enjoy. So before we dive in, I'd like to mention that this work is already published as a preprint on medRxiv, and we are currently going through peer review at Healthcare Informatics Research. You can find all the details using the link below. So here's what I will present today. Okay, first, I will introduce the Korean EDI vocabulary and our data integration process using something we call the sync package. After that, I will explain how we map these local EDI codes to standard concepts and explain the community contribution process. So first of all, EDI is a widespread code system used for reimbursement or claim data in Korea. It's developed and maintained by the Health Insurance Review and Assessment Service, HIRA, and EDI concepts are divided into three main categories: drugs, devices, and medical services. And it's updated every month and provides longitudinal data spanning over 2 decades. As you can see in the timeline, EDIA data has been consistently collected since November 2000 with monthly updates, continuing through May 2024. However, despite widespread adoption in Korean EHR systems, several limitations still persist. First, validity dates are not recorded in the official monthly announcements. Second, expired or replaced EDI codes can be assigned to new concepts. And third, there are duplicated identifiers across different domains because there's no unified encoding system, which means the same code might in the drug domain and completely different meaning in the device domain. So our goal was clear. We needed to enhance the EDI vocabulary to create a controlled and standardized vocabulary system. And we decided to do this by incorporating EDI into the OMOP vocabulary using a semi-automated process.
Yijoo, sorry, can I have one question? Can you go to the slide previous one, please?
Okay.
Yeah, when you say new concepts in the second bullet point there, are you talking about OMOP concepts or are you talking about EDI codes?
Yes, it's about the EDI local code.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, so Think is our semi-automated process we made that transforms EDI vocabulary as a source concept using OMOP structure. So it has 4 main steps. In the first step, we systematically download all necessary EDI data across the 3 types provided by HIRA. We collected all EDI data spanning from November 2000 to May 2024, representing over 2 decades of longitudinal data. And as mentioned, EDI originally comes in 3 categories: the medical service, is way too broad for the Odyssey standardized vocabulary. So in the second step, we sub-classified medical service into procedures and measurements to match the Odyssey domain space better. The third phase involves establishing formal hierarchical structures. We've constructed a vertical hierarchy for EDI concepts, similar as ICD-9 or ICD-10 coding systems, based on the first 5 digits of the EDI code. All the original EDI terms are in Korean, so we needed to provide English translations. So we utilized Google Cloud Translation API for the initial translations, then had clinical experts review to correct translations for ensure clinical accuracy. So yeah, this is the sync package process. And after completing all processes in the sync package, we get a merged EDI table as shown. And this table contains comprehensive information such as material, company names, and dosage information about each EDI code. We then proceed with mapping to standard concept, utilize additional information for more accurate mapping. So our mapping approach started with the Odyssey Korea guidelines. The key principle is that every single concept must be mapped to standard concepts based on Athena. I will now outline our domain-specific mapping methodology, beginning with procedures. So in Athena, we apply 3 specific filters to narrow down our search. So domain specification as procedure, standard concepts filter will be activation, and the filter the vocabulary to SNOMED. And this is an example that if you want to map hemiarthroplasty of hip, you will start by searching this procedure name in Athena. And in most cases, it's difficult to find the appropriate mapping term immediately with this simple search. So if you don't find an appropriate concept name in the initial search, we move to our second step, modifying the search terms. For example, instead of searching for hemiarthroplasty, we can try using the term partial joint replacement. This approach of using alternative medical terminology often helps us find the appropriate standard concept. In this case, by using modified search terms, we were able to find an appropriate standard concept, partial hip replacement by prosthesis. So I proceed to map our EDI code to this SNOMED concept ID. But however, sometimes we still can't find an appropriate concept even after modifying our search terms. In such cases, we employ our third strategy. You should move up to a broader, more general concept and then utilize the relationships have to examine its substance. This hierarchical approach often helps us find the most appropriate standard concept. And now let's move on to our mapping process for measurements, similar to procedures, but with different filtering criteria. For measurement, we set the domain to measurement, filter for standard concept, and primarily use LOINC vocabulary, which is the main standard for laboratory and clinical observation. While mapping measurements can be challenging, so in Odyssey Korea guidelines, there is a strategy that makes our searches more efficient. So the key is to focus on 2 elements, the unit of measurement and the specimen type. So let me show you 2 examples. In the first example, when we have a measurement with the unit milligram per deciliter, then we convert this to a mass per volume format and search for mass per volume in serum in Athena. Similarly, for our second example, with gram per deciliter in whole blood, We follow the same approach, converting to mass volume and searching for mass per volume in whole blood. The structured approach helps us find appropriate center concepts more efficiently. And sometimes you might find several similar concepts and feel uncertain about which one is the most appropriate. In such cases, I recommend visiting loin.org. This website provides more detailed specifications and mapping guides that can help you make the right choices. So let me explain two useful features in Loink website. The first one is LELMA, which provides comprehensive information about key aspects such as component, property, timing system, scale, and method. Additionally, LELMA shows us the ranking of each code, indicating how frequently it's used. We typically prioritize higher ranked codes in our mapping decisions. And the second feature is the hierarchy browser, which allows us to visualize the hierarchical relationships between concepts. And this makes it much easier to validate whether our mapping choices are appropriate within the broader context of the terminology system. And for drug mapping, we use RxNorm or RxNorm extension with a hierarchical priority system. We start with the most specific mapping possible and work our way down. Using acetaminophen as an example, we start with the full specification, including ingredient, dosage, form, brand name, and company. If that exact combination doesn't exist, we progressively remove details. First the company name, then the brand name, then the dosage. This ensures we get the most specific mapping available. And when mapping drug concepts, in our case, it was crucial to distinguish between injection and injectable solution. So we distinguish them by units. For injection, unit is typically milligram or gram. So in Korean definition, injections are pharmaceutical preparation that are administered directly into the body. It can be solutions, suspensions, emulsion, or powders, and may need preparation before use. For injectable solution, unit is typically in milligram per milliliter. These are ready-to-use preparations that contain drugs already dissolved in a suitable solvent or mixture for injection. Lastly, for medical devices, we map to SNOMED concepts and we utilize company names or material specifications to find the most appropriate matches. And to ensure accuracy, it's only adopted for EDI codes, but we recommended referring to the Medical Device Insurance Guide Map published by HIRA. This resource is specifically designed for the Korean healthcare system and helps ensure consistent mapping. And having explained our mapping process across different domains, and now I will describe how we contribute these mappings to the community. For integrating your map vocabulary into OMOP CDM, you need to follow the community contribution pipeline. This process ensures quality and consistency across all vocabulary contributions. If you're interested in this process for integration of your own vocabulary, you have two options for getting started. So you can directly contact to the vocabulary team, or you can join the vocabulary working group meeting to discuss your contribution. In our case, we established communication with the vocabulary team by email. For detailed reference, all these procedures are documented on the Odyssey GitHub page. So before explaining the data integration methods, there are some prerequisites that needed to be addressed. Before proceeding with data integration methods, several prerequisites needed to be addressed. Once you have established your data setup, three distinct schemas must be created. So first is the source schema for your source vocabulary, which is downloaded from an external source. So put your source vocabulary here. And second, the development schema. It's also called working directory. This schema is where you will do your work. You can rename it as your vocabulary, such as dev-edi, run DDL to create empty tables and put your copy of vocabularies downloaded from Athena here. And third, the dev5 schema is a reference schema that has the copy of the vocabularies downloaded from Athena. Run DDL to create empty tables and put your copy of vocabularies from Athena. So there are two schemas, dev-edi and dev5, that will contain the copy of vocabularies at this point. And here's how to create a fully indexed table downloaded from Athena and load into the dev and dev5 schema. If you want to download vocabularies from Athena, you need to follow the steps shown in the picture. First, click on the download button, then check the vocabularies you need. After selecting your vocabularies, click on download vocabularies to receive the chosen vocabulary CSV files in a compressed zip format. And run the main DDL section of the DDL code in the PostgreSQL database. You can download the code through the link below, and the DDL code creates tables like concept, ancestor in your database. These tables are empty, so you need to upload the vocabulary bundle downloaded from Athena into these tables. Then execute the remaining code from dev5 DDL to create primary keys, external keys, and indexes, then check them. If you completed all the prerequisites, you are now ready to perform data integration. So execute load stage from the corresponding GitHub folder in the development schema. If load stage references dev5 or sources, replace them with the names of your schema. And utilize the function set latest update to set the date of the update and indicate that this vocabulary should be processed. Executing without creating this function, you will not be able to proceed. So create this function and execute the script. And there are some supporting functions to stage tables in GitHub. So create them and execute at the end of the load stage to ensure conformance with the vocabulary rules, such as no mapping to non-standard concept. If you've done it correctly, functions should be contained within the vocabulary pack schema. As a result of the previous step, you will populate stage tables that mimic basic tables. Once you run the load stage, you will need to create and execute QA/QC procedures for stage tables. Within the file, you will navigate to QA-test.check stage tables and create the function and execute it. This function performs conformance checks and should return no errors. The checks include things like if the concept is valid, check valid end date. Field length does not exceed limits in the standard DDL. There are no duplicates, and vocabulary ID exists in vocabulary table. And generic update function integrates the content of the stage tables into basic tables and assign concept IDs. Running it enables examination of the content in the format you are familiar with. Once you create this function and execute it, you will be able to inspect concept and concept relationship. If at this point you need to modify something in your scripts or stage tables, you will need to clean stage tables and revert basic tables to their native state. You can erase all changes and get a copy of native basic tables from the reference schema using fast recreate schema secure. This QA process is partially automated. Execute get checks to check the compliance of the generated basic tables with OMOP rules. This query is resource intensive, so it might take a long time to complete. After completing all these processes, you will submit your source files and stage tables to the vocabulary team and creating a pull request on the vocabulary GitHub repository. In our case, we successfully integrated an updated version of the Korean EDI in September 2024. So you can search for Korean EDI concepts in Athena. They are properly mapped to standard vocabulary. Yeah. Thank you for your attention and hope this presentation helped you to integrate your local vocabularies into OMOP CDM. And yes, please feel free to ask any questions.
All right, thanks, Yijoo. I think it was very nicely presented. And it's also nice to see that from last year's Anna Stripollet's presentation, right, about the vocabulary and how we can enhance it. We're actually showing a working example using the Korea vocabulary here. So I think gives us like an end-to-end perspective. Yeah, there are a couple of questions. Let's go with Jiwon first. I think Jiwon raised hand first. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to raise my hands. I just
Oh,
want.
okay. All
Sorry.
right. No worries. I think we have
Maybe I can.
Yang Chi. Yeah.
Yeah, Key can ask question.
Yeah. So initially you mentioned the sync package. I didn't see you use that package. I see this mapping is purely manual work, right? You go to Athena and trying to map one by one. Is that correct?
I think the curation process is done through the sync package, Chi.
Yes.
So from the source data and making it translated into English, and also, you know, there's I think, Korea unique stuff in which the team here has curated to make more compatible and easier to map to the Odyssey vocabularies. Oh, sorry, like I didn't mean to speak for you, Yijoo. Please, go ahead.
You're totally right. Yeah. So Think package is for the EDI data curation, and yes, as you mentioned, Key, we mapping manually.
Okay. Have you tried to use some of the tools like Usagi or there's some other tools?
Mapping tools.
Yeah.
Firstly we try to use Usagi, but we have so much EDI codes to map, but Usagi, if you use it, you have to choose each mapping. So I think it's kind of time consuming. So yeah,
Okay.
we manually map it.
But sorry, so you're saying in Usagi you need to do mappings for each code one by one, but how is that different from how you did it? Because you also seem to do it one by one as well, right? Look, searching for it in Athena, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But I think it's because of the EDI nature. As I mentioned here, like the measurement and procedure, they have a hierarchical, so we can use the same mapping.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So yeah, that makes sense. So use Athena, you get all of these part pretty much. So instead of Usagi, yeah. Okay, thank you. That's
Thank
a
you.
very nice presentation. Yeah.
I also have a few questions. So first of all, for procedure, you said you limited to the SNOMED vocabularies, right? But I think Odyssey also has other standard vocabularies used in the procedure domain. So is there a rationale why you chose just SNOMED?
why we choose SNOMED? Because we have updates before the Korean EDI mappings, and in that cases we map to SNOMED.
Okay.
So we just choose the same.
Okay. You followed the same process from last time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I think as long as the mappings are sufficient for your purpose, I don't think it really matters as long as you're mapping to a standard vocabulary. So it was a pure question out of curiosity. I'm not challenging you, just a question there. So that's my first question. Second question, Yijoo, the community contribution process, right? So like Mukesh described, we had some sessions last year where Anna came on to give us a walkthrough on the process, but she specifically mentioned two different distinct ways to do that. So one was a simple process where we fill out some sort of Excel tables and we send it over to the vocabulary team. So this was what Anna described as simple. And the other one, which she described as more complex contribution process, and she also mentioned it's more specific to the drug vocabularies because drug vocabularies are more complex than other domains, right? So, but based on what you've described here today, it seems you went down the complex path, right? Using SQL environments to set up, load vocabularies in, and generate the outputs to send over to the vocabulary team, right? So your EDI codes right now map to multiple domains. Did you guys end up choosing the complex path because drug was included as part of the domains? Or I'm just trying to understand why you guys ended up doing the complex path instead of doing some of the simple paths, like using the Excel files, templates.
We didn't choose. And,
vocabulary team told you?
Yeah. We want
Okay.
to try the simple use cases. So we made the Excel files and submit to them. And they said, you have to do some complex use cases. So yeah, we switched it.
Okay, so you tried the Excel first, but they guided you to do the complex. So you did the complex path for all the domains, right? Not just the drug domains.
Yes, all the domains.
Okay. Then last question. Did you do the SQL everything? So the technical aspects of this yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. I applaud you. Wow, that's a great skill
Thank
set
you.
to have. Yeah, excellent. Great to know. But I think what you've documented here is very useful, especially on the complex process, right? Because although it's described on the GitHub page, it's quite complex and difficult to read through because there's lots of words there. But I think you've made a nice slide deck outlining the process one by one. So I think it will be a good reference for anybody who in the near future will go through this complex path and they need to do this, replicate the exact same process. So thank you for this great presentation. I'm going to shut up now.
Thank you so much.
Maybe we have Cynthia, I think we have a question there. Yeah. Cynthia, are you there?
Cynthia, you've muted yourself.
Yeah, I'm off mute now, I think.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay. Hi. Yeah, thanks for explaining how to load a custom vocabulary table. But I wanted to follow on Chi's comment that a way that might help in using Usagi. So I'm going to share a screen in a moment. Let me just get these all organized here and show you what we did in the clinical trial working group, where we had a table with drugs, the drug dose, the drug form, and the route of administration. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Just a moment here. Okay, So can you see this? Let me see if I can maybe explode it a little bit. Okay. So we're trying to map here where we have, this is the drug name, the ingredient, right? This is the dose. This is the dose unit. This was the route. And this was the dose form, right? And as you explained in Athena, depending on the level of granularity that you have, you can choose, just the ingredient or just the ingredient plus the form. And, there's all these different levels. And what we found is that if we concatenate these, we just have an R script and we just join these together like this. Let's see if I can expand this a little bit. Again, view, zoom. All right, let's go to 150. Okay, can you see that? So on the left is what came out of just an R code, just to paste together the drug name, the dose unit, the route, and the form. And that becomes, I think, a clinical form. I get them all mixed up, but clinical drug or something like that. But anyway, you can get a really good match then to the code using Usagi. And so that's what we found here. So, so the ones that are in green, we get an exact match, as you can see, right? And so that was helpful. Then it got a little tripped up when there doesn't actually exist a 200 milligram oral tablet here. So when you go in and you look at the protocol, what happened is that those patients got 2 tablets. And so then you have another thing where there's a little bit manual where you have to put in the number of tablets. But at least we get the quickly we get the target concept ID. So I just thought that might be helpful to people if your information is in different columns. If you paste them together and run it into Usagi, you get a really good match. Over.
Thanks for sharing, Cynthia. I think the contribution process. Sorry, the contribution process and the Usagi here.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. So.
Am I breaking up? I think, Cynthia, you might have network problems from your end. But yeah, I'll continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The community contribution process and generating or mapping vocabularies using Usagi,
at least on my end,
are a bit different. I think Cynthia might have a lag, right? Is it me or is it Cynthia? Is everybody hearing me well?
Are people having trouble hearing?
I can hear you well.
I can hear you.
You're
It's
every other word is dropping.
Cynthia seems has an internet problem.
So yeah, let me finish. So Usagi is mapping, right? But I think what Yijoo described is a community contribution process where we need to follow specific templates or guidelines from the vocabulary team, where we say a non-standard code, a new non-standard code is this standard, maps to this standard code. So I think it's sort of different because the outputs of Usagi are not 100% corresponding to the templates we need to provide back to the vocabulary team. So if you want to create a mapping just for your institution, great, Usagi will work. You can use that source to concept map table generated by Usagi. But if you want to contribute back to the community, there's this one more step where you need to fill in templates and also do the complex step that Yijoo just described as well, right? Either the Excel templates or either the SQL process that Yijoo just described. So I think what Cynthia has explained is more around the Usagi mapping process, which is also useful, right? Because if you can somehow manipulate your source data to be more compatible with Usagi, it helps with the mapping. That's also that's a good process. I think what Yijoo's sync package does is something similar to what Cynthia's R script does in creating drug names to be mapped or be compatible with Usagi. I hope there was no lag or connection problems while I said that. I hope Cynthia is okay now. But yeah, that's all I just wanted to add to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia, for the for sharing that.
Okay, I have a very quick question to Yijoo. I was wondering what was the amount of time taken to do this work overall? So it gives us a proxy as to how much effort we need to factor in.
So we need times to mapping all this EDR data. I think it was almost 6 months. And the complex use cases, the contribution process, it takes like 2 or 3 months, I think. But if you are familiar to the process, you can just easily through the community contribution process. So yeah, maybe it can take only like few weeks.
Okay, yeah, I think it's a good reference. I guess as you get more experience with the contribution process, it will be fastened up over time. But yeah, it does need some manpower from the relevant teams. Yeah.
I actually have a follow-up question to that. So 6 months for how many people to do the mapping?
3 people.
Wow, that's a lot of time then. It's not a small lift then. That's a lot. For the contribution process, just you, right, Yijoo?
Yeah.
Okay. But I think the problem is even if you just do it once, unless you update, you follow that process like every months or so, you're gonna forget, right? And when you do it after 2-3 years, you're still gonna forget, and you're gonna end up spending almost the same time again, right? So I think it's a learning curve, either at the very first step, but also when you repeat that after, when you do another refresh of the vocabulary updates. So another thing to put in mind, right? I wouldn't say you just because you did it now, Yijoo, I don't think you'll be able to do it in 2 weeks next time you do it, right? I still think there will be changes in the vocabulary team as well. So yeah, let's not guarantee 2 weeks. Yeah.
So how many, you said it took 6 months. How many unique vocabulary did you have to map?
We use only the EDI vocabulary.
I think she's asking about codes, right?
No,
the
like how many
codes.
unique items were there? Was there like 2,000 unique things, or how many unique vocabulary did you have to map? Was it hundreds of thousands or?
I'm not sure right now, but maybe 600,000.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
600,000. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
You sure that is not 6,000?
At least for 400,000, I think. You can see in the
400,000. Wow.
Athena, yeah.
And they accepted, right? They are going to publish it in this August release, right?
Yeah.
It's already been published, right?
Yes, it's already been published.
Oh, it's already been published.
Because they contributed before June, right? So it should be they released one in February, didn't they? It's already in the February release, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So sorry, I missed the beginning of the presentation. So maybe you explained this already, but were these I opened the door so that I could get better internet connection. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, so these are the terminology in Korean? Is that right?
The
or
vocabulary.
It's been translated into English.
Yes, it's translated into English, and also we insert the synonym of Korean.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the future, one could use Usagi then if other people have since you've already
Yeah.
contributed now,
Mhm.
other people in Korea will have those concepts that they can map. Okay, so
Yes.
you've paved the path for others.
Sure, sure.
I went to Athena. I don't see it. Is it not access? Like it's proprietary?
No, Chi, there is
Huh.
EDI as part of the vocabularies. If you search for EDI, there's like 437,000 codes.
You find that under vocabulary?
Yeah, look
Like
for
you,
EDI.
I will share the screen.
Yeah, but, maybe that's easier. Yeah.
Yes, you can see
Oh,
here.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
Wow. Really, 400,000.
domains,
Wow.
or yeah, for domains.
But
Ah.
400,000 is not a lot though, Chi, right? Like if you consider it being a
it's-
national coding system, I think
Oh, it's a lot. It's is so much. I mean, consider it's the Singapore one last year we did. I think it's only 20,000. I think it's only 20,000. So it's like a one magnitude different, and that's also Singapore national code as well. So
but we only got a slice of that, right? Like I mean, like the data that are captured, right? I think this is more of the entire coding system instead of the codes that are actually captured in data.
but
So
the one
for
we had is the entire national Singapore.
no,
think the
I
national
don't think I don't think so, Chief. The codes were extracted from unique from the parsar data set, not from the national coding system itself.
Is that
So
right?
we have the so in the ETL project last year, Chi, there was
Okay.
the data set that the Singapore team has, SingHealth, I think it was SingHealth, and they're maintaining. And what the vocabularies that were extracted is coming from this data set only. It's not a entire procedure coding from the Singapore's national system, right? It's from
Okay.
just in that data set only.
I see. Okay.
Hi, Yijoo. Thank you for your presentation. She's right back there, but I have a quick question. I'm not too familiar with this whole mapping vocabulary process, but so I couldn't really ask a detailed question. But I thought what you've done during through the whole this process was very fascinating. But was there anything that stood out to you during whole this process? So like anything it made you to like want to do in the future?
Other than I don't want to do this ever again.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, actually, we are planning to update the EDI codes annually, but yeah, it's kind of it's hard.
Yeah.
Well,
Tell
related
Professor
to
Chan. Tell Professor Chan, maybe another person this time, Professor.
Well, related to that, when you look back, is there something you could have done to speed it up, with 2020 hindsight?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we have to try.
Is there no AI techniques that
Uh,
could do it
there's
for you? No?
there's Korean LLM like automated mapping tools named Toki, but
Toki. Oh, cute.
yeah, I never
Which
used
means
it, but
rabbit.
yeah,
Toki means rabbit
in the same
in Korean.
time, yeah.
Okay.
One thing that I've tried sometimes when I'm stuck is I ask AI to find the ICD-10 code. I don't know if, or the SNOMED code. And if you could run maybe something into an AI tool to generate the one of the standardized vocabularies, ideally SNOMED, because that is the reference vocabulary. And then from that, hop over then to the OMOP vocabulary as a two-step. It might, you might have some success with that. What is the vocabulary that Korea uses for its conditions?
It's KCD codes.
Sorry, again?
KCD codes.
KCD is a Korean variation of ICD-10. So
Okay.
we also follow ICD. Yeah.
Okay, so you could then hop from KCD to ICD, and then from ICD to
we already have KCD to
OMOP.
mappings on Athena already. It's there.
Are the KCD codes very different than ICD codes?
There are Korean modifications, yes.
Yes.
I think it's very similar. It's like a ICD-CM. It's just an expanding of the ICD.
Oh no, Chi, I disagree.
Extension.
ICD-CM is very different from ICD-10, right? So ICD-CM is a American modification, and it's very granular compared to just ICD-10. So I wouldn't say similar to ICD-10-CM. I would say it's similar to ICD-10-CN, which is the China modification of ICD-10.
Okay.
So Cynthia, to answer your question, for KCD, we don't map to ICD-10 and then we go to SNOMED. We go directly from KCD to SNOMED. This effort was done a long time ago.
Oh yeah, this was just related to the AI question, whether you know, you can use AI to have an intermediate hop, and then that makes, because the tables have already been set up for the ICD-10 to OMOP. That's already exists. I think that program exists. Am I right, Chi?
Well,
if your database is all coded in ICD-10, isn't it a fairly simple process to get that into the OMOP common data model?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any vocabulary that published in here in this Athena, any vocabulary in there, meaning they already mapped. Okay. So so that's very simple because they already mapped.
Okay. I know that every country seems to have its own drug dictionary, which is one of the big challenges, as Mukesh probably knows.
Yeah.
So that's the harder one. But for measurement, if like what we found in Singapore was that even though the hospitals had their own way of coding, that when we trace back to the actual labs, their machine actually had the LOINC code for what they represented as the Singapore code. And so that way we were able to actually speed up the conversion of measurement as well.
Yeah, that's raises a good question. So do you remember in the last year's project how the medication was mapped? Was there any medication at all, or because
I don't recall. I'm sure we did,
the
right?
surgery. Yeah, I don't. Probably we don't.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Like it's a what do you call pre/post operative data set, right? You do give medicines during the process, right? So I'm pretty sure drugs are there. I just don't remember what coding system it used. If you don't remember, I won't remember either.
So is EDI used throughout Korea
Yes.
in most hospitals? Also,
All
your job,
hospitals.
so your work is very, very significant. Then later on, once we go to another hospital, then all the mapping have been done. So that saves significant efforts to convert the source data into OMOP CDM. So
Thank you.
It's
that
already been
deserves a huge applause, actually. So the entire country's data can now be converted.
it's already been converted a long time ago.
Really, all the hospital data? Or?
All the large hospitals' data has been converted to OMOP in Korea on
Oh,
a
nice.
nationwide scale, like what in 2000 from 2018 until like 2020.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, government grant, government project. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I wouldn't say all hospital. There we go. Somebody responded
Yes.
there. Yeah.
That's almost 60. Yeah.
Okay.
And Shi, to your question, we did have drugs. You guys have drug mapping tables in the ETL environment. I mean the Teams environment, which you guys use to map drugs. I mean map vocabularies.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Will the data be? That's really up to the hospitals, Cynthia. So there was initial effort to fund the initial effort. After that, it's really up to the hospitals whether they continue to maintain that. To your other question, claims doesn't have measurement results. No, it doesn't. We just have the measurement itself, not the values. Absolutely. And I think hospitals also know that. Oh, for those of you who don't see the chat, Cynthia said hospital data is valuable. So I just said absolutely. Okay. Anybody else? We had a great discussion, like 30 minutes presentation and almost 30 minutes discussion. So this is very interactive. Love the conversation today.
Okay, are there any other questions? And yeah, I agree, Song. I think it was a very nice convo, right? Close to 20, 25 minutes, chatting around the workflow. Yeah. If there are no other questions, I think we can perhaps wrap up earlier today. Yeah. Okay. All right then. Thanks again, Yijoo and team. We really appreciate your help and support there
Thank
in
you.
sharing with us. And we'll continue working with you and seeking your thoughts and guidance in how we can do more of such efforts in the community. Otherwise, we'll see the community in 2 weeks' time at the community call itself. All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone.
Bye-bye. Nice work. Yeah.
Nice work.